He was not going to wait around. McGonigal across the way, and that's accurate for out number 2. It's a proper start. That it is.
All right, we got show number 2. The first show was a good one. I already got 240 views on it already, so yep, it was a good one. Now we got more tonight. Another good show. Carol. Oh, okay. I hope you get to watch it because it was a good show this afternoon. So we got, I think the X2 report tonight is a good one. It's 30 minutes. And then I got Dave Nino with Red Pill. Well, some Red Pill. Jordan told me that. He came in and said that, so I found the video. Thanks, Jordan. And then I got to play one of the Cash videos on Chicago. So that's 3 of. So I got a lot of good stuff to share again tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get started because I want to get a lot out tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is 2.5.
Deserve reparations for being disenfranchised by the racist Democrats who stole the civil rights of American voters and rigged our districts racistly. So, time for reparations for the Republican Deep South.
Do you think Republicans need to go negative on Democrats in order to win, or what needs to be the right messaging ahead of midterms, in your opinion?
Well, hold on. What do you mean go negative? I want to set the table here. I think it's really important because what I heard from Democrats for the past decade or so as they were burning our cities to the ground and attacking me and my friends in the street is that it's not enough to just be against racism. You have to be actively anti-racist. And so here's us picking up that mantle and carrying the anti-racist Supreme Court decision saying that you're not allowed to create congressional ghettos and DEI districts based on the number of Black people who live in these Rorschach blot test Jackson Pollock districts all throughout the South, where the Democrats have been able to rig through white guilt the elections for the last 60 years in states that vote for Donald Trump by 40 points. You're not allowed to go get racist congressional districts out of that and DEI hires. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I think that's something that all of America should embrace. If Democrats want to go back to their roots, back to the KKK, back to the segregationist South, well, then make that argument to the American people. The other thing that an argument that I'd make is that in New England, where no doubt you are broadcasting this program, there is 27 different congressional seats. There's 40% Republican population. 0 of those congressional seats go to Republicans. Those 40% of Republicans have 0 representation. And so my encouragement to the Republicans is to grow a pair and to deliver back some reparations for Republican voters. We deserve reparations for being disenfranchised by the racist Democrats who stole the civil rights of American voters and rigged our districts racistly. So, time for reparations for the Republican Deep South.
Okay, Benny and Fox. We got Kennedy.
And everyone's searching for you.
And I'm going to stay within my time because our chairman here is tough as a boot and he's going to cut me off. Do you happen to know what our poverty rate is in America?
Yes, I mean, it's about 32,000 as a family of 4, and it's this formula that you
What
consider.
percentage of Americans?
I don't know what percentage of Americans.
If you ask the Census Bureau, they tell you 11%. It's been 11 or 12% since God was a child. And I started looking at why that is. Are you aware that the Census Bureau, under its definition of poverty, only counts cash payments to the American people, not non-cash benefits? Were you aware of that?
I am aware of that.
And are you aware of the fact that if we count both cash benefits and non-cash benefits, for example, food stamps, which the Census Bureau says doesn't count. If we count non-cash benefits, all this money coming, of course, from the American people, that the poverty rate would be 1%. Don't you think we ought to give the American people credit for reducing poverty in our country? I'm proud of that. Are you aware? I got 32 seconds. These are the programs that the Census Bureau refuses to consider as part of the American people's gift to neighbors who are less fortunate than them.
That's all right.
I'm going to read them quickly. SNAP payments don't count. WIC payments don't count. Emergency food assistance doesn't count. Food distribution program on Indian reservations, the school breakfast program, the national school lunch program, the special milk program, the senior farmers market nutrition program. Medicaid doesn't count. CHIP doesn't count. Medicare doesn't count. Give me 10 seconds extra, Mr. Chairman. The Affordable Care Act subsidies don't count. Low-income housing assistance doesn't count. Weatherization doesn't count. Section 8 housing doesn't count. All these benefits that according to the Census Bureau says they don't count. If we counted them, the poverty rate would be 1%. And that's a rule set by the Census Bureau. Don't you think we ought to change that?
Senator, we definitely need to look at that. I don't think the American people are getting an accurate view of how well we are fighting poverty in this country. And I'm happy to work with you on that.
And a lot of people don't want the American people to know that, do they?
No, sir.
Boy, you were generous.
That's a long 10 seconds.
I know.
Senator Warner.
But it was well spent, wasn't it?
Yeah. Thank you.
We
Mr.
love
Chairman.
listening to you.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, that was an old one, but I don't think I never played that one. Yeah, I got a 6-minute one. I don't remember this one. I don't know. Anybody?
Developed during a rare evolutionary window, a time of total freedom
combined with genuine responsibility. And here's what's interesting. Most people who grew up in the 70s look at our current generation and just laugh. Not in a mean way, but because they know something the rest of us don't. They experienced something that can never be recreated. A time so magical, so free, that decades later, they still say things like, "I wish I could go back and stay there," or "We really didn't know how good we had it." To put it even perfectly, we grew up on hose water.
You
We
remember
were
this
feral,
one, Kay?
and it was glorious. So what made the 70s so special? And more importantly, what did it do to your brain that makes you different today? The first trait
I
is what
hope this is
researchers
okay.
call self-directed problem solving. And it started with one phrase every 70s kid remembers: go find something to do. Or I'll find something for you to do. You knew exactly what that meant. If you dared say you were bored, suddenly you were folding clothes or sweeping floors. So you learned fast. Figure it out yourself. Studies on unstructured childhood show that children who had to create their own entertainment developed significantly stronger executive function and creativity. You weren't handed activities. You weren't scheduled. You had to invent your entire day from nothing. This is why you devoured books, explored on your bike for hours, or spent entire afternoons in the woods building forts. You can say to yourself, "I was never bored. I devoured books or explored on my bike, loved my independence."
Sounds
Your brain
important
learns
video.
something modern childhoods skip entirely:
There you go.
how to generate purpose from emptiness. Now, that explains your creativity, but it doesn't explain why you seem almost supernaturally calm in chaos. That comes from this next trait: adaptive risk calibration. You grew up climbing trees that were definitely too high, riding bikes without helmets, throwing rocks at each other, setting things on fire with fireworks. You can say, that was our internet. Every scraped knee, every minor disaster, every close call was teaching your nervous system something crucial. Research in developmental psychology shows that children who experienced physical risk in play developed better threat assessment and lower baseline anxiety as adults. Your brain learned the difference between actual danger and manageable risk by living it, not by watching it on a screen or having a parent intervene. You broke bones, you got scars, and that honestly felt like a medal of honor with a story behind it. This is why you can walk into a crisis and just start solving it when everyone else is panicking. But here's where it gets deeper, and this is the piece most Gen Z will never understand.
We got 3
You
minutes.
carry what researchers call comfortable
What do you think,
solitude
guys?
capacity.
Is this all right?
You spent hours in your room listening to music. You laid on the grass, just talking to friends. You explored alone, not because you were lonely, but because there was no screen demanding your attention every 3 seconds. Studies on pre-digital childhood found that people who grew up before constant connectivity show significantly less anxiety when alone with their thoughts. In fact, recent research had participants choose mild electric shocks over sitting quietly for 15 minutes. You'd probably find that ridiculous. You learned early that boredom isn't an emergency. At that time, you know you can never get bored as a kid. Your brain never developed the addiction to constant stimulation that defines modern life. This is why you can wait in long lines without losing your mind. The fourth trait is something psychologists call analog patience, and it shaped you in ways you probably don't even realize. You waited for your favorite show once a week. No binge watching. You took photos and waited days to see if they turned out. You wanted to talk to someone. You memorized their phone number and hoped they were home. Research on delayed gratification shows that people who grew up waiting for things have better impulse control, better relationship outcomes, and better career success. Your entire childhood was training in patience that modern life actively destroys. This is why instant gratification doesn't satisfy you the way it does for younger generations. And here's the trait that ties everything together. You have what I call unsupervised autonomy wiring. At 8 years old, you left the house in the morning and your parents' only rule was be back before the streetlights come on. Nobody knew where you were. Nobody tracked your location. You rode your bike to creeks a mile out of town. You played in the woods. You went to neighborhoods far from home. And a random stranger might even offer you a lemonade and sandwiches after playing in a creek all day. But today, that would result in police calls. Back then, it was normal. Research on childhood independence shows that children who had freedom of movement without constant supervision developed stronger internal motivation and decision-making skills. You had to assess situations, make judgment calls, and deal with consequences yourself. Your parents weren't your friends, they were the authority, and they trusted you to be competent. This is why you can plan, adapt, and think critically without external guidance. Every time you look at today's world and feel out of place, remember this: you're not outdated. You're carrying forward capabilities that are going extinct. The independence that looks like coldness, that's competence. The comfort with silence that looks like antisocial behavior, that's depth. The ability to wait that looks like apathy, that's discipline. You survived a childhood that would get parents arrested today, and it didn't damage you, it built you. Most people will say, I feel honored to have been able to grow up this way. Or, we lived through the best decade to be a kid. And they're right. For a brief moment in human history, childhood was both completely free and genuinely formative. You got to experience something that doesn't exist anymore. A world where kids were civilized and feral at the same time. Drop a comment if you're a 70s kid and who thinks it was the best era.
Yeah, I was 71. So I thought that was would be an important one. Yeah, I got the guy, what's his name? 8 minutes, 7 minutes.
Tuesday, May 5th, 2006. Hello, I am John Michael Chambers, and this is your War Report. I ask you to listen with love, as where we go one, we go all. The following report is provided in part by Guardian, Daniel R.
Jerry.
The role of the White Hats military. The White Hats military, a coalition of military personnel committed to restoring justice and order, is the driving force behind Operation Hammer. These individuals have taken an oath to protect and defend their nations against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. Their unwavering commitment to this cause has been instrumental in uncovering and dismantling the networks of corruption and criminality. The perpetrators targeted by Operation Hammer are not just faceless entities. They are individuals and organizations that have wielded power with impunity. These include high-ranking officials, corporate magnates, and influential figures who have engaged in or facilitated crimes against humanity and foreign interference. The White Hats have meticulously gathered evidence, ensuring that the guilty are brought to justice. This is a global operation. Operation Hammer is not confined to the borders of the U.S. It is a global initiative. The reach of this operation extends to every corner of the globe, targeting individuals and entities involved in corruption and human rights abuses. The collaboration with international partners has been crucial in identifying and apprehending the perpetrators, demonstrating the global commitment to justice and transparency. Okay, high-profile arrests. The high-profile arrests have been a key element of Operation Hammer. These arrests have not only brought the perpetrators to justice, but have also sent a powerful message to others who may be involved in similar activities. The visibility of these arrests will underscore the commitment of the White Hats military to ensuring that justice is served. The implications of Operation Hammer extend far beyond the immediate arrests and trials. This operation has set a new standard for the global fight against corruption and human rights abuses. The executive orders underpinning this operation have provided a robust legal framework for future initiatives, ensuring that the momentum of justice continues. Operation Hammer marks the beginning of a new era of accountability. The comprehensive approach to identifying and prosecuting perpetrators has demonstrated that no one is above the law. The global collaboration and the use of military tribunals will set a precedent for future operations, ensuring that justice is served swiftly and fairly. You'll want to remain informed, empowered, and connected by following on Lean and Mean Broadcasting, Military Intelligence and Economic at jmcbroadcasting.com. And join me and Mr. 107 live for the Patriot Power Hour Q&A. It's a question and answer with Juan on screen live with me as your host for one solid hour in our private Zoom room, taking your questions. Get your questions answered. Learn how to participate by visiting jmcbroadcasting.com. You have to click on Premium Portal, learn about the option, and come join us Thursday, May 28th, 8 p.m. Eastern. The Global Financial Reset is accelerating. I put together 10 free educational modules to help you survive and thrive and get out of the system in this danger zone until the new system is set. So buy gold, buy silver, buy now by calling my resource, Bill on.
Okay, he was talking about his sponsor, right, Flying Eagle? That was about 5 minutes. It's almost over, so we got the whole video in. I got 2 Q videos.
What's up, family? Welcome back to Out of the Darkness. I am Q. Well, we've been talking about it for a while, but everything around the Obamas is seeming to crumble. It is coming down, and it is coming down hard and fast, including the Obama's marriage. Now, the weird part about this is that Obama is not blaming himself, is not blaming his cheating or philandering, not blaming the fact that he has made a lot of missteps and mistakes himself, not the fact that he has, all but ruined a country and destroyed his own legacy. But no, once again, it's Trump's fault, which goes on to speak about the incredible disease we now call Trump derangement syndrome. That now Trump has the power to destroy a marriage of 30 plus years, that Trump has the ability to cause a wife and a husband of a president to be on the rocks, to split. I mean, what will they not blame on Donald Trump? So Barack was speaking to a publication. He was saying that, the fact that Trump is in office and doing all the things that he's doing and going after Obamacare and going after the Dreamers Act and immigration, and that it has forced him to stay involved and locked into the political sphere, that he still has to remain the head of his party. And how Michelle absolutely hates it. She wants out of the spotlight. She wants out of politics. I mean, we all knew that this was coming when Michelle didn't even show up for the inauguration. She didn't show up for the funeral service for Jimmy Carter, and everyone kind of knew that she was kind of checked out. But the frustrating part is that, now Obama's saying that his marriage is suffering because of Trump. Now, the weird part about it is sometimes it's important to listen what people don't say as opposed to what they do say. So Barack Obama, what he's not saying is that Trump is a direct threat to his legacy. Trump is a direct threat because Donald Trump has single-handedly, little by little, dismantled all of the disastrous programs and policies that Obama worked so hard to put in place, not of the least of which is Obamacare. So it bothers Obama that he's doing that. It bothers Obama that someone as uneducated as Trump, who didn't go to Harvard, who didn't get a Harvard degree, who didn't have the political inside track, that never served in Congress or Senate, that he could come in and do a better job at being president than someone who was really and truly a Manchurian candidate, someone like Obama, who was literally groomed to one day be the president of the United States. The fact that he could be followed by someone like Trump, and that Trump could be so incredibly effective, bothers Obama to his core. And so now, in order to deal with that disappointment, now Obama has turned his attention to not only trying to be a kingmaker and get people elected, stumping for loser candidates like Biden or like Kamala Harris. Now he is forced to have to go out and try to steal votes or steal congressional seats by gerrymandering, by working with these states who were pretty much down the line, like Virginia, who had one of the most fair electoral maps in the country. I mean, almost split down the middle, Republican and Democrat, to making sure that they would have a map that would favor mostly Democrats, if not completely Democrats. So that's the solution. The solution is finding a way to cheat. But I think the biggest thing that no one's talking about is Obama knows that he could go to jail, that he committed real crimes in office, treasonous crimes that are not protected under the immunity agreement or immunity act. So let me know what you guys think about this. Comment below. I'll see you guys next time. Be blessed.
Okay, the first one. Here's the second one.
I can safely say that no matter how bad your week might be going, that nobody is having a worse week and a worse night's sleep than Dr. Anthony Fauci. Why, you might ask? Well, he's got someone on his tail right now that nobody really wants. And that is the person that probably dislikes him more than anyone. And that is Rand Paul. Now, I get it. Most of you guys have come to the place where you guys cannot stand Rand Paul for whatever reasons or for various reasons, but I'm not here to get into the weeds about that. What I will say is that Rand Paul is making it clear, and he has doubled down and filed his referral for Dr. Anthony Fauci to be indicted for lying to Congress. Now, that is not the most egregious of offenses that Anthony Fauci has committed, but the problem is that the statute of limitations ends in the next week. There's one more week that DOJ has to indict or to bring charges against Anthony Fauci for lying to Congress. Now, it will be the easiest case that they could possibly bring against Anthony Fauci, and it would definitely start us down the road of getting justice for what he put this country through. If you guys remember, Dr. Anthony Fauci stood before Congress and flat-footed lied and said that they had not given money or not funded through the NIH gain of function research. Now, just to remind you, for those of you guys that might have forgot, gain of function research was simply the ability or the study of taking viruses that were common to animals and finding a way to make those be able to be transferred over to humans, or take a virus that was less transferable or less malignant and then make those viruses basically super viruses, essentially weaponizing viruses, if we're going to put it as simply as we possibly could. So Anthony Fauci said, absolutely not. They did not fund this. And through a series of interviews and through a series of paperwork and emails, they came to find out that, yes, Anthony Fauci flat out lied. And not only did the NIH support these functions, but they also gave money directly to the Wuhan lab that the coronavirus, that COVID actually originated out of. He was responsible for hiding the story of the origins. So Dr. Fauci lied and lied and lied again and tripled down on his lies. And so Rand Paul wants Fauci to pay for this. And so he is ringing the alarm, ringing the bell. And I hope and I pray that Donald Trump can put his personal hatred for Rand Paul aside and do this and go after Anthony Fauci. I believe that this is going to get Trump's interest because of the fact that Anthony Fauci was, yes, indeed given a blanket pardon by Biden. What's going to be interesting is I do not believe that once these charges are brought, I do not believe that that pardon is going to hold up in court. A blanket pardon for anything what was ever done and might be done, it is going to cause the pardons that Biden auto-penned and threw out there to come under scrutiny. And that is going to open the door for a lot of people to be brought in and to be indicted. So this is the first domino that must fall. And I hope and pray that Donald Trump, and I believe that he's definitely capable, if anyone is capable of doing it, it would be Donald Trump, to put personal feelings and frustrations aside to do what needs to be done. And that is to put this monster in prison. Dr. Anthony Fauci. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think that Trump will put his personal feelings aside and make Todd Blanche go after this one? Do you believe that they will make it happen in time? Comment below. I'll see you guys next time.
Okay, we got two men from Q. I got the first 16-minute one. Let me know on this one, you guys.
Neither do we. We're here fighting for our clients long before.
What if Kamala Harris's odds of winning the presidential election in 2028 continued to quadruple? What if people begin to believe that Tucker Carlson really has a chance of being the Republican nominee? Because that socialist is leading with 55% odds of becoming the new mayor of Los Angeles. Does that mean that they are already doomed before the election even happens? Should I be ripping out my hair since Gavin Newsom and AOC have some chance of winning the presidential election in 2028? At least the odds of a recession are at an all-time low, because if the odds were high, then people would cause a recession. I bet you have heard the success stories like Gannon, who got $400,000 by predicting the capture of Maduro, and now his account is blocked. Some linked accounts made very specific bets about the US-Iran war and made millions and millions of dollars. Alpha Raccoon made $1 million by guessing very specific Google search rankings. And politicians are hoping to strike it big by betting on their own race. Oh yes, I bet you have heard the success stories, but have you heard the stories of the 84% of people that lose money? Maybe that's the reason why Donald Trump calls it somewhat like a casino.
The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. And you look at what's going on all over the world, in Europe and every place they're doing these betting things. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it conceptually, but it is what it is. No, I think that I'm not happy with any of that stuff, but they have all these different sites. They have predictive markets. It's a crazy world. It's a much different world than it was.
That multi-billionaire just called prediction markets, you know, those online peer-to-peer trading platforms like Polymarket and Kalshi, like gambling? Well, maybe that's because Donald Trump doesn't understand how good we are at monitoring the situation. And when the Situation Room opens up in Washington, D.C., we can go to the sports bar, get drunk, and make better trading decisions. Said no one ever. Well, wait, maybe Donald Trump just doesn't realize that only 2% of people are barely making more than $1,000. We're told that information is profits, so does Donald Trump even know that 0.04% of the users are making 70% of the profits? I bet he knows. Well, it is not legally gambling. It's actually trading, because these are future contracts of real events where you have a binary option of yes or no. Let's take, for example, the former director of the FBI under Obama, James Comey, who threatened the president by posting seashells of 8647 on his Instagram. And then this is what he had to say in response to that.
Well, they're back. This time about a picture of seashells on a North Carolina beach a year ago. And this won't be the end of it. But nothing has changed with me. I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid, and I still believe in the independent federal judiciary, so let's go.
Let's go, and go we did. The prediction markets began to move. Did he not care to explain anything more about the seashells? So James surrendered himself in on April 29th. $2.7 million was traded because of high interest to this topic. That means that there was an 80 to 90% chance of his arrest, but he surrendered. The winning side gets back $1 per share. The problem is that when most people realized that James Comey was going to be arrested, yet then he surrendered, they were trading at 89 to 90 cents, making it so the people who win barely profit. Unless, of course, they are the 0.033% of accounts that have made more than $100,000 on similar betting situations like that. So those people will just try again next time in hopes of being the 0.033%. This seems to be a very common trend. You guys remember when Don Lemon busted through that church and scared everybody? Well, people predicted if he would be federally charged or not. And on the very day he was charged, the people who were betting yes spiked up tremendously. We're free to do whatever we want with our money. And some of you guys might even be thinking, I don't have extra cash to just be throwing at random events like whether or not Jesus will make a return by 2027. Yet what if they said that they would give you $10 to $20 to sign up? Would you throw some money to predict yes at this? What even would you do then if Jesus came? Would you even have a house? Would we still have planet Earth? Are you going to use that money in heaven? Regardless, $20 seems like a great invitation to come and try out their app. Yet that money definitely is not free, because they're probably expecting you to spend more of your own money later on. And even if you didn't, surely it would be worth it if you would just leave them a 5-star review on the App Store. That's the only reason why I can think they have a 5-star there and 1 stars everywhere else. So let's look at some of these reviews. On trustpilot.com, 90% of people gave Polymarket a 1 star. These are verified people who are going to share their experience. Literal scam, LOL. I thought I was betting on real world events. It's just a crypto sham in the end. Same as any crypto blank coin with whales dictating the end result. Yet another person.
I didn't like that one. Sorry about that one, you guys. Okay, let's go ahead and get the wire channel in. There you are. Okay.
Cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. Shooting reported on National Mall. One suspect wounded by Secret Service. Project Freedom operation in Hormuz remains intense as a mass convoy of civilian ships stages to transit the Strait of Hormuz. Mass shooting reported in Texas. Beginning with international events in the Middle East, significant events continue to take place in the Strait of Hormuz, with the United States expanding efforts to force the strait open to civilian traffic. Last night, two destroyers, the USS Truxtun and the USS Mason, crossed the strait under heavy fire by the Iranians. Similarly, a KC-135 refueling tanker was observed conducting refueling operations for aircraft supporting Project Freedom throughout the night. At some point, the KC-135 declared an emergency and broke station, though the context of the situation remains unclear. On the home front, in Washington, D.C., yesterday afternoon, a shooting was reported in the vicinity of 15th Street and Independence Avenue. The suspect was originally identified by plainclothes officers who saw the suspect's concealed firearm printing through his clothing. The U.S. Secret Service attempted to engage with the suspect, and during that approach, the suspect drew his firearm and began firing at federal agents. Secret Service personnel returned fire, wounding the suspect. One bystander was wounded by the suspect during the engagement, though they sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Analysts comment. The suspect has not been identified, and no further details of the suspect's intent have been provided. The U.S. Secret Service did make a note that the vice president's motorcade passed through that intersection just a few minutes beforehand, and no mention was made of the suspect conducting an attack on the motorcade, despite initial reports. As a result, it's not clear as to if this was a routine crime or gang situation or a more deliberate targeting effort. More details may come in due time, but as of now, there's not enough context to determine what the intent of the engagement was. In Texas this afternoon, a mass shooting was reported at a shopping center in the Carrollton, Koreatown. Multiple people were wounded at the K-Town Plaza after one assailant conducted a small arms attack at a business center within the shopping center. Concerning casualties, 2 people were killed and 3 people were wounded during the attack, with the suspect fleeing on foot before being apprehended in the shopping center. The suspect has been identified as Seong Han Ho, and no information has been provided regarding a potential motive for the attack. Analyst comments for this wire. As of this morning, the situation in the Middle East is still very fluid, but based on the events of the past 48 hours, a resumption of the shooting phase of the war is increasingly more likely. In the Persian Gulf, the sudden disappearance of hundreds of vessels or their convergence on one single point on tracking maps is a classic case of both GPS jamming and AIS spoofing. Though many commentators have been hesitant to report the truth of what this is an indicator of for OPSEC reasons, this professional courtesy is a moot point now, because Sekwar Hegseth let the cat out of the bag during a press conference this morning. When the spoofing first began en masse over such a large area late last night, this was a flashing neon sign indicating exactly one course of action: a mass convoy to surge ships out of the Gulf. This morning, the Pentagon confirmed that hundreds of ships are staging in the Persian Gulf right now, with the goal of conducting a surge through the strait. Considering the very kinetic entrance to the Gulf that was conducted by 2 American destroyers, it's absolutely certain that many commercial vessels will be struck and/or sunk during this operation, but this appears to be a casualty figure that the Pentagon is willing to accept. Numbers so far are hard to verify at this early stage, but the shenanigans over the weekend appear to have been the result of the Navy trying to guide a total of 5 ships through the new traffic pattern in Omani waters. Of those 5 ships, 3 were struck, one of which may have hit a mine, it's not clear, with 2 vessels surviving the trip to exit the Gulf. Separately, throughout the night, explosions were reported in the Iranian port of Bandar Abbas as well as Shib Daraz port on Qashem Island. CENTCOM has not confirmed these incidents as strikes. However, both of these ports are well known for hosting significant fast boat swarms. CENTCOM has indicated that the rules of engagement for this conflict have changed, having been loosened to allow service members to engage Iranian gunboats which may pose a threat to American forces or merchant vessels. This change in the ROE was made immediately before Project Freedom began, and as a result, the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Army have been striking Iranian fast boats ever since. Functionally, these targeting efforts have served as a soft resumption of the kinetic phase of the conflict. American helicopters are striking Iranian boats, and Iranian drones are striking oil facilities in the UAE, but neither side wants to admit that the ceasefire has been broken a dozen times at this point. How Project Freedom is going to work out is uncertain, but what is very clear is that the situation in the strait is not safe, and targeting efforts on all sides continue. This concludes the wire for 2300 Zulu, May 5th, 2000.
Okay, Wire Channel 8 for our guy. Our next one is the 3 short ones from our regular lady on TikTok. Maria. God darn it.
While her constituents' homes were literally burning to the ground in the Palisades, where was Karen? She was halfway across the world, partying it up in another country. Must be nice. When she's in town, she's busy egging on Antifa to go after ICE, sparking riots and turning the streets into a taxpayer-funded campground. The city is facing a $1 billion budget hole, but Karen thinks she deserves a promotion. I don't think so. And neither does this guy.
This is the same woman that will allow 7,000 houses to burn to the ground, 12 people to burn alive, and then actively cover it up.
Reality TV star Spencer Pratt has jumped into the race. He's gaining momentum, and he's got a personal bone to pick because he's a victim of those fires Bass ignored. Now he's calling out the governor for obstruction of justice. And today, we've got more than just accusations. We've got leaked audio from Mayor Bass recorded just 3 days before the fires began.
But they want to hear that something is going to be done.
They want to know it's recognized. But they want to know it's recognized.
Exactly. But if I have a choice between that and compromising something, I just have to go along with it.
I'll explain that call and exactly what Karen Bass was trying to scrub from the fire report. Plus, the ceasefire in the Middle East is on life support as Iran starts lobbing missiles at our allies. But President Trump isn't waiting for a permission slip from the UN. He's vowing to finish the job. We've got the latest on the Trump squeeze and why the mullahs are finally sweating. And if you're enjoying the show, do us a favor. Hit that like button, hype the stream, and subscribe if you're new. You don't want to miss what we have coming up next. Well, you remember the early 2000s, low-rise jeans, flip phones, and the hills. Spencer Pratt was the guy everyone loved to hate. But fast forward to today, and Spencer Pratt is the one doing the hating with very good reason. He's an LA resident who watched his home turn to ash in the Palisades fire. Now he's running for mayor to take out Karen Bass. And his new campaign ad? It's hitting where it hurts. The mayor of Los Angeles, who is currently running.
Okay, 2 more, and I'm going to play that one video on Nino with Melissa Redpill. Jordan told me about that. So playing that first big one there. Oh, dang it.
The guy who allegedly wanted to take out top officials is the one getting the "I'm sorry" from the bench. That's not justice. That's insanity. I'll have more on that in just a moment. Also today, if you thought Gavin Newsom set the gold standard for driving a city into the ground, think again. There's a new contender in town, and Zohran Mamdani is sprinting to the front of the race. He's neck and neck in the competition to wreck what used to work. This guy actually thinks he can personally attack and even dox the elites who are basically the only ones that are left keeping New York's lights on. Well, the bill is coming due, and now Kathy Hochul is in full-blown panic mode, scrambling to do damage control before the last billionaire boards a private jet and heads on down to Palm Beach. This is where we are, folks. Politicians chasing headlines, judges coddling criminals, and regular Americans left paying the price. Hit the like button if you want accountability back in our justice system, and tell me below, should judges like this be shown the door? Because if you needed any more proof that the DC court system has officially gone off the rails, look no further than what happened today. We have a guy who allegedly showed up to the White House Correspondents' Dinner with one goal: to take out the president and his entire cabinet. A guy who literally told the FBI he didn't expect to survive the night. But instead of a swift hammer of justice, the alleged shooter, Cole Allen, got a heartfelt apology from a radical left-wing judge today. Judge Zia Farquhar, the same guy who's been treating the DOJ like his personal punching bag, is now losing sleep over how this would-be assassin is being treated behind bars. Apparently, the DC Department of Corrections put Allen on suicide watch, and the judge, he wants to know why we're being so mean to him.
Attorney for the government said that he was put on suicide watch because he told FBI agents the night of the White House Correspondents' Dinner attack that he didn't expect to survive. And his language suggested that he really was not expecting to survive his trip to Washington, D.C. and the ultimate incident where he allegedly showed up with a weapon to try and assassinate President Trump. He's been charged with that crime, but the judge very concerned about his constitutional rights, saying the defendant has requested a Bible, has requested meetings with his legal team, and that has not been allowed. allowed. He's been put in restrictive 24-hour lockup with no windows in a padded room without an opportunity to get out for recreation.
To the suspect.
Okay, one more and then long 24-minute one.
And even cornered. Adam Schiff, he got iced out by his own party. Markwayne Mullin ripped apart the lies of ousted CDC official Susan Menares. And Kash Patel, he brought the heat like we have never seen before. Meanwhile, over at ABC, they are under fire for bizarrely romanticizing the messages of Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin. But on a brighter note, a resolution has just been filed to designate October 14th, Charlie's birthday, as the National Day of Remembrance for him, ensuring that his legacy lives on. I have that and so much more right here on The Carrie Lane Show. As always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It has been a humiliating day for Democrats, to say the least. First, Senator Adam Schiff, he was given the cold shoulder by his own party at a press conference today.
Invite my other colleagues to comment if they would like as well. Other questions?
Awkward. And then Nancy Pelosi, she was heckled when she finally made her way to the podium.
Let's hope it's a happy Constitution Day. Now I'm pleased to yield to the distinguished, excuse me. Okay, excuse me. We have an important fight on our hands. Let's not fight among ourselves about this.
Then over on Capitol Hill, Senator Markwayne Mullin reveals that the meeting where Secretary Bobby Kennedy fired CDC Director Susan Menares was recorded. Watch Menares look visibly uncomfortable as she repeatedly parrots the same line, clearly following instructions from her attorney.
Your conversation with the secretary, you said that he said he didn't trust you.
Correct.
You testified to that. Is that really how that conversation went? Because there's other people in the room, and I think the conversation was, can he trust you? And your answer was?
He said he could not trust me.
No. The answer, ma'am, it was a recorded meeting. So you can testify one way, or you can prove that you're lying or give them and be honest with this committee. I'm giving you the opportunity to be honest here because you've been really walking around the edges and not being truthful. So did he ask you the question, can he trust you? And your answer was?
He told me he could not trust me. And I told him if he could not trust me, he could fire me.
That isn't how that conversation went. And you know that, don't you?
He told me he could not trust me. And I told him if he could not trust me, he could fire me.
Ma'am, all we're looking for is you to be honest. And you haven't been.
Play the tape. Play the tape. You know, it is just a matter of time before the audio is released. And you better believe I will have it for you here once it's available. Now, while Menares was drowning in her own lies, Kash Patel was kicking butt and taking names. He too was on Capitol Hill today for day 2 of his hearings. And boy, was he even spicier today. Watch this exchange.
Your tenure as director of FBI has been somewhat problematic. Americans are left definitely less safe under your watch. You have gutted the FBI's ability to keep safe from domestic terrorism. You have sent FBI agents to conduct traffic stops and round up hardworking immigrants who pose no danger to public safety.
What is it? Are we failing? If we're failing, how are we arresting 23,000 violent felons? Twice as many as this time last year. Are we failing? Because if we're failing, how are we seizing 1,500 kilograms of meth, 25% increase from last year? Are we failing? Because we captured 4 top 10 FBI most wanted from around the world in 7 months. That's more than the entirety of the last administration. Are we failing? Because we put 1,500 child predators in prison. Are we failing? Because we dismantled 300 human trafficking networks. Which is it? You don't like me? That's fine. But don't you dare disparage the men and women of the FBI that are producing record results in historic fashion to protect this country. They are kicking ass for America, and they're going to continue to do so.
And that was just Kash warming up. Here comes Eric Swalwell, the senator best known for sleeping with a Chinese spy, leaking classified information, and pushing the Russia hoax. Well, he decided his top priority is the Epstein files. Funny how the left didn't care about this for 4 years under Biden, but now suddenly it's their crusade. Swalwell, he was shocked that Patel hasn't read every single page and demanded an exact count of how many times Donald Trump's name appears in those documents. Watch Patel slowly dismantle him.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Yeah,
Then what's the number?
I'm sorry about that one, you guys. Okay, let me guys know if you guys want to play this whole 24 minutes here.
All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm with Melissa Red Pill, who's going to help us understand what this whole bee thing's about. Trump and the Royals,
tonight. How's it
the
going?
beehive,
Coming in.
and the bee landing on his hand, and what does it mean? And people are dressing up as bees. It's getting weird out there. Thanks for joining
I didn't know
me.
that. I didn't know that. That's
Hey,
awesome.
she's okay,
Yeah,
isn't
we're also going
she?
to talk about the President Trump's lineage because
Sure,
it really
yeah,
ties
it was a good
into
video.
that too. And so, yeah, so then that this just happened last night. The White House just posted another video about the bees, and of course they have been posting a picture of the beekeeper. Have you seen that movie, The Beekeeper?
That's with that action star. What's his name? I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
I don't know.
I've seen it, but I need to go back and watch it again. But
Okay, so I've got the picture in the whatever to show. How do I actually go ahead and show that?
which picture? I think
The beekeeper. The beekeeper. Yeah, the one they call Beekeeper. Yeah. So they posted this from the White House.
What does this mean? See, this is where I'm kind of confused.
The movie, I haven't seen the movie. My husband has seen it. I've shared the trailer on my Melissa Red Pill channel. But the thing is, the beekeeper is going in to kick out all the corruption.
Oh,
Yeah.
so, okay.
There you
So
go.
this is so I'm right. So this is shit's about to hit the fan.
Right.
yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So hold on one second. Before I get into this, folks, and this is going to be an interesting podcast, very informative podcast. You know, Melissa has her fingers on the pulse when it comes to this stuff. But you know what, folks? Get your red light. Yep, get your red light. Hey, everybody, it's your guy, David Nino Rodriguez here. You've heard the talk about med beds. There's next level healing machines that repair your cells, kill inflammation, and reverse damage with red light and PMF. Well, the full bed med bed act is here right now. It's red light therapy panels plus the red light PEMF BioForge mat from myredlight.com. These panels flood you with 9 of the most proven and highest powered red and near infrared wavelengths, while the PEMF BioForge mat delivers 8 powerful coils and 4 targeted wavelengths of red and near infrared light, plus a built-in 9-hour timer, just in case you want to take that long nap for restorative sleep sessions. Together, they supercharge your mitochondria, melt inflammation, clear zombie cells, boost collagen, skyrocket energy, erase brain fog, improve sleep, speed recovery, and literally help your body heal from the inside out, exactly like the med beds everyone's waiting for. I do this full combo almost every day, and I feel 10 years younger, stronger, sharper, and pain-free. If you're done waiting for tomorrow's tech, grab the complete med bed hack today for a limited time only. They're selling out fast. They always do. Go to myredlight.com. Use Nino25 for 25% off any single item, and Nino30 for 30% off any bundle items. This is good, folks. Get on it. I have it next to my bed. All right. So here he is, the beekeeper.
Yes.
So I didn't, you kind of look at this stuff, you just kind of brush by right through it. A lot of people don't like to spend time to think about it or research in it, but I know you do.
Well, okay, so because they keep posting it, like they're trying to get our attention about this. So the first,
it says right. I didn't see this, but it says White House right up there.
yeah, this from the White House. All right, from their X account. So the first thing that happened was they put out these bee hives out on the south lawn, and I'm thinking that sounds so crazy, but I didn't realize the symbolism of it. The first post that Melania put out says "Be free." That is the first thing she put out.
So what are they signaling towards? Like they're getting ready to clean the deep state up?
Well, I think the whole thing about, and I just did a video on President Trump and his lineage and sovereignty. I really believe that when they were there, we got our sovereignty back from these creeps legally.
From London, from UK.
Yes, from reversing us from admiralty law to the law of the land. I really think that was what happened. Melania put out another video that said Coronation Day. So clearly we're not crowning Camilla and Charles. The only thing we could be crowning is, our country having our crown of sovereignty. Really, the whole point about having a crown is sovereignty. And then I don't know if you saw this. This went viral on my ex account, Melissa Redpill. Camilla was flying commercial back to England.
Her name was, I didn't even know her name was Camilla. Camilla Dragon. I thought you were talking about Kamala. Oh, you're talking about the.
Oh, Camilla Kamala. What is her name? Camilla.
Yeah, all right. So they were flying commercial?
Yeah, she did.
What, do you have that picture in here somewhere? I think I saw that.
I can go grab it. I can go grab it.
I saw that. Yes, she was flying commercial. You're right.
Right. So what is that about? It's like, and then Beatrice also, she's not, she was going on an Uber, Princess Beatrice. So there's some big changes that are going on if we just really have the eyes to see it. So yeah, there was that. So while we're on the B thing, I just wanted to connect this dot for you. Pull up that one that says B, which has Lady Gaga. I just found this out this morning that the symbolism of the bee is who gets to be a queen bee, like Beyonce or Lady Gaga.
This is weird. Why are both sides doing this?
Okay, well, they always use our symbolism, right? That's oh crap. They always do that. They always use our symbolism. We're fighting for who's going to run this world. And the whole point of them putting the beehive on the White House lawn is they're saying we are running this show now. And anyway, I'll tell you about that.
Never even thought. I guess that's how they kind of signal to each other and do things. And I mean, we're coming into this National Prayer Day, May 17th.
Yeah, 7th. It's this Thursday.
No.
This Thursday is National Day of Prayer.
This afternoon.
Well, it's not May 17th.
I don't know. Oh, that's the prayer. That's the rededication.
Right.
I'm going to be there. Yeah, we're going there. That's the rededication of our country. And that's actually Jubilee. And I talk about Jubilee all the time. So Jubilee is when you count 7 weeks of the counting of the Omer. And pull up this one. I've got so much to talk to you about. But pull up the one that says POTUS Omer. Every week of the Omer, President Trump has been posting something wild. The first one happens on Easter Sunday. And that's when he did the expletive post about getting out of the bleeping straight, right? So he did that on week 1. Week 2 was when he had this image that looked like he was Jesus, right? And flipped everybody out. The third one was when we had America Reads the Bible. And so biblically what happens is when the people have been in bondage for years, for example, in the Babylonian captivity, when they came back, what was the first thing that they did? They all read the Bible. They all stood there and they listened to it. So that
what's the significance of this? I mean, he knows. I mean, I know, like, okay, we got to get closer to God and do all that, but I get that. I understand that. We're coming into some treacherous, uncharted waters. That's what I'm hearing. But it's because he knows, right? We're going to need every ounce of protection we can get for what's coming.
Absolutely. And I really think it's bright days ahead. I really do. I just think that I'm ready for these people to be arrested and be done with it. And and a very interesting thing I just posted yesterday about the post from, who, about President Trump being abroad. Well, he's going to be abroad on the 14th and 15th of this month. The 14th is actually Ascension Day, when we celebrate that Jesus ascended. So really, really interesting timing on that, and that he will be abroad, and that supposedly operations would happen when he's abroad and on Air Force One. So, but I think the symbolism is that we are going to be, again, one nation under God. They tried everything they could to make us where we didn't believe in God. They tried to take away our faith and tried to take it out of the schools, tried to take it out of the courts, everything. And so this is the symbolism of, we go back and we read the Bible and we're like, this is who we are. And this is what we're doing on the 17th of May in Washington, D.C. We're saying we rededicate our country to God. So that was week 3. And then week 4 is when he posted about his lineage. I wanted to talk to you about that too. That's gigantic, because I posted this first video about his lineage back in 2019. So I want to.
What's his lineage? He's Scottish, right?
Okay. Well, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. pull up the one where it says Judah lines. President Trump is from the line of Judah. And for those of you who are not familiar with this, Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, gave a blessing to each one of his children before he died. The blessing that he gave to Judah was that they would rule. They would be in the line of rulership. And it said that the power would not, the rule would not depart from Judah until Shiloh comes. Well, look at this line of Judah. If you start right up here, it has 2 lines. And I'm not going to go into all the detail. It's really cool. I just posted a video Saturday about it, so you can go check it out. But basically, there are 2 lines: the Pharez line and the Zara line, and it shows you on this this lineage here both lines. Well, President Trump is really from. It appears that he ends up being from both because the lines rejoined. You see the Judah and the Pharez line right in the middle. You've got the Zedekiah right here. You see this? Okay, Zedekiah was the king that lost Jerusalem when Nebuchadnezzar came and hauled all the people off into Babylon. And Jeremiah ended up bringing the 2 queens. Both the king's sons were killed. The princes were killed. But the princesses were brought over to Ireland. And they were crowned on the Hill of Tara, which is in Ireland. I got to go there last year. It's absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful field of green and on this hill, and it's a figure 8. Super cool. And they put the coronation stone, which is the stone of destiny. You've heard of like the sword and the stone. That's real. It's a real thing. And they go into all this on the videos. But anyway,
so basically, Trump he's the rightful heir.
Thank you. Yes. And so that's when the 2 sticks rejoined right then, because the first line, Pharez, was already in Ireland, and now the Zara line came over when Jeremiah brought the princess over. Her name was Tia Tefi. They married on that hill. They were crowned the king and queen. They were the first Judah kings. And if you look back in the history, you'll see that it's got the Jacobites. You've got actually Anglo-Saxon is Isaac's son. Isaac, as in Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. This is the royal line. Isaac Saxon is Isaac's son. So if you are from this area, you are likely part of the royal tribe. Okay, so President Trump ends up, you see here, the kings of Ireland, the kings of Scotland. Now it was usurped. Remember Braveheart with Mel Gibson?
Yeah,
that's when they usurped the throne and they took it over. And so I just did one talking about who's the real king. He's not the real king. Charles is not the real king. I don't call him a king because he's a usurper. Same with Elizabeth and George.
For him to fly down here and be involved with these photo ops with Trump holding a beehive and having a bee land on his hand, is showing that he's kind of surrendering to Trump.
Yes, they've done everything legally. They've done everything. Here's the picture right here. You see the bee Trump. You'll see the picture of President Trump holding the bee in his hand. The tradition is that they have to tell the bees when there's a change of ownership or a change of rulership. And that's what he was doing, was he was basically telling the bees.
Crazy.
It's just all this beautiful symbolism. And so,
that was probably the purpose of their trip, right? To just hand over the loyalty to Trump.
Right. And of course, Charles went before Congress with all of his lapdogs in Congress. Not every one of them, but most of them are basically his lapdogs. And basically they're saying, hey, we basically know that the Iran war is lost. And so we want to gin up this Ukraine war. And they're all standing and applauding like a bunch of seals. This is
crazy. So this has a lot of meaning.
Yes.
I mean, for the White House to be posting this, first of all, I mean, along with this picture here, is like, come on. I mean, I don't,
Well, pull up the clip I just sent you on my Melissa Red Pill X. You'll see that they just posted this last night. So they're not slowing down on this. And I really think that from the movie symbolism, you see the clip I sent you, the X link?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay, take your time. But I think that they're, like you said earlier, I think it's go time. It's time to just like on this movie where the guy just went crazy on him and destroyed the corruption.
Yeah, I'm getting it right now. So this is the hold on one second. Sometimes this happens.
Yep, Jordan was right about this one.
Okay.
It's not letting me add it to the stage. That's weird.
Okay. Well, bottom line, go
I have to
over.
remove. Yeah, you have. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why it's not letting me add.
Okay. Well, anyway, go over onto the whitehouse.gov and White House X account, and you'll see, guys, the video that they just put out there about there's going to be all this buzz and who's going to get the most honey. Well, that's the competition that we're having. Just like I was showing you before, this picture of Lady Gaga, they are saying, wait, we want to be the ones who are the queen bee. We want to be the ruler. And have you ever seen? Yeah, have you ever seen the hats that the popes wear with the?
That looks like a prey. She looks like a prey mantis right there.
Yeah, that is. But kind of and that one's almost like I don't know, a butterfly or whatever. Yeah, it's a crazy hat.
What a strange woman.
Well, that's what happens when you worship demons. These people they've gotten their power from demonic power. This is what they told Jesus. Satan told Jesus, if you'll worship me, I'll give you all the kingdoms of this world. Well, he said no, but they said yes, and so they are fighting to get the beehive. And
so it's almost like it's just the same as Melania. They're like flags, when they dress up. They wear certain suits or costumes or dresses or whatever. It's to show. It's like a flag being raised, right?
Well, that beautiful pink dress that she wore that night that they had the royal ball or whatever it was, that was the winged goddess of Samothrace. Basically, it's the victory dress. There's so much symbolism that she has been putting out there on her channel. You guys got to go and check it out because it's really, there you go. Go scroll down a little bit farther, and you'll see the video that the White House put out. Yeah, there it is. You want to play that?
Yeah. All right.
Beads.
Bees?
Beads.
Beads.
What's the significance of this? Just talking about the.
Well, they're trying to get the buzz. Everybody's talking about this.
Wow. Okay.
And
we'll see who brings in more honey.
The White House put this up?
They did.
Weird,
It's from
so strange.
I know. But the thing is, the criminal cabal knows the symbolism of the bees, clearly with them dressing Lady Gaga in this bee outfit and then calling Beyonce Queen Bee because they are using.
They called Beyonce Queen Bee?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I understand that's just a figure of speech, but there's really a lot more meaning to this because this is the first I've heard of it.
Exactly. And I didn't even know about it either, but we've always heard Queen Bee. So on the trailer for the Beekeeper movie, it says that if the hive is in danger, then the beekeeper has absolute authority to do what is necessary to save the hive. And that's exactly what President Trump is doing. And if you notice he's saving the hive, and he's been talking about he was on our president for 3 terms. So that's an interesting thing too, that he's the authority to do that. Before we go, I want everybody to see that other one, the lineage 2. That's what President Trump posted. He's been posting a lot.
Whatever you want to scroll up or down.
Okay, no, just go to the image that I sent to you. The lineage 2 image that is in the.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah. So
this one here.
No, the lineage 2. So I just want everybody to see that President Trump posted his lineage, and he kind of was making a joke. He says, well, that's nice. I've always wanted to live in Buckingham Palace. I'll talk to the king and queen about this in a few minutes. So, he knows, Charles knows, they all know who he is. I literally had a Mason tell me almost 10 years ago, because they could tell that I knew this, and I had this video about President Trump's lineage. They're like, we know that Melissa, that he's a Judah king. He's the rightful king. And,
he's a Judah king.
Judah, right? The line of Judah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So why is even the deep state fighting him if they know that he's the king and that he's the rightful heir to the throne? This is crazy, man. Because
they're usurpers. They want to they've had the crown for so long.
I thought they had to respect all this stuff. I thought they were all part of it.
They want to, okay, so this, if you want to really understand that spiritually, we lost our sovereignty in the garden with Adam and Eve. but basically we lost our rights, and we were translated into the kingdom of darkness. That's what the Bible says. And so because of Christ, we got translated into his kingdom. Right. And so
yeah, exactly. So we shouldn't see, that's a big thing right there.
In your
Christ
heart, in your personal life, you are walking in the kingdom of God. But we've always prayed, his kingdom come, his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is about the kingdom of Christ on earth. They've been fighting forever. Everything that they've done to us to try to destroy us, even the nukes and all that Hillary was trying to do, that's a lot of that's coming out right now. That was to try to prevent us from being able to get the kingdom of Christ on earth. They want this evil kingdom, and they're bound and determined until they're locked up. That's what's going to happen. But I want you to see on this picture.
They're stopping at nothing, by the way. They're still going to go all in
until they're locked up, like any criminal, right? Okay, so on here he posted his lineage, and he's been talking about his mother, Mary Ann McLeod. So if you'll see that she's on this list, and he's obviously in the line of his mother, going back to this King James and the Scottish kings and all the way through. So he posted this, and like I said, I've been talking about this since 2019, and that's, I think, one of the reasons that I have so much confidence and that we're going to have, we're going to destroy these people.
No video? I can't believe that. It wasn't playing Flying Eagle? We got most of it. We got most of it, though. There was only about 5 minutes left. I can't believe that. Yep, eating chips. Oh, sorry about that, you guys. But we got most of the video. We're gonna do 5 shorts and then another 15. I think this lady's okay. I think.
Can't. The short answer is law. The real answer is power. Of the more than 12,000 or so nuclear warheads on Earth, the majority are owned by the US and Russia. But the legal architecture behind who gets to have them or not was fixed in the Cold War. So the Cuban Missile Crisis terrified Washington and Moscow into realizing that if they barely avoided a nuclear confrontation with each other, a world with 15 or 20 countries with these weapons would be an absolute nightmare. So they worked together on the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty of 1968, the NPT. Now, this might sound boring, but it's really important because under this treaty, if you tested a nuclear weapon before the 1st of January 1967, you were recognized as a nuclear weapon state. That meant 5 countries: the US, Russia, China, Britain, and France. All other parties to the treaty promised not to acquire nuclear weapons, and in return, they were guaranteed access to civilian nuclear technology, namely energy. And the countries with the weapons also made the commitment that they would eventually disarm. That didn't happen, obviously. But there were real holes here because not everyone signed the treaty. India, Pakistan, and Israel did not sign. India developed the bomb after war with China and China's nuclear test. Pakistan obviously felt if India had one, they needed to have one too. Israel adopted the Schrödinger approach, never confirming, but never denying, and widely believed to possess around 90 nuclear weapons. North Korea did sign the NPT in 1985, withdrew in 2003, and then tested a bomb in 2006. Iran, though, did sign the NPT. This means it is legally bound not to build a nuclear weapon and, crucially, to keep its nuclear program under international inspection. Now, of course, I haven't totally lost my marbles. So the reason that Israel is treated differently from Iran is not just law, it's also strategy. Because Israel's undeclared arsenal has been tolerated because Washington and others are judging the region to be more stable and in their interest, with Israel as a quiet, ambiguous nuclear power, whereas Iran is treated as a hostile actor, and an Iranian bomb is feared to trigger a cascade of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and others wanting their own. North Korea perfectly exposes the cold, hard logic here, because before a state gets a bomb, the world would try and stop you, often violently. After a state develops a bomb, what can the world do for fear of catastrophic retaliation? Why can Israel...
Okay, I got 2 more with her, I think.
had nuclear weapons? The answer is complicated. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991 and Ukraine voted overwhelmingly for independence, it inherited the world's 3rd largest nuclear arsenal, thousands of Soviet weapons sitting inside this fragile new state. But Ukraine did not possess a ready-to-use nuclear force. The warheads, yes, were on Ukrainian soil, but the command system and the launch codes were still tied to Moscow. Perhaps they could have dismantled the warheads and reused the fissile material, but that, or keeping them in general, would have meant an eye-watering investment in nuclear infrastructure and also diplomatic isolation, because the world did not want another state with nuclear weapons. So, in 1994, Ukraine agreed to transfer the nuclear weapons to Russia and to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which meant that Ukraine was making a commitment not to pursue nuclear weapons in future. In return for this, Russia, the United States, and Britain, all nuclear powers themselves, signed the Budapest Memorandum in December 1994, a now infamous document inked by Bill Clinton, Boris Yeltsin, John Major, and Leonid Kuchma, which gave Ukraine security assurances, pledges to respect its independence, sovereignty, its existing borders, and to refrain from the threat or use of force. Obviously, Ukraine wanted binding security guarantees, and significant groups inside the country felt like they needed to keep that arsenal in case Russia did something in future. But under political and economic pressure, Ukraine accepted assurances.
What do you guys think?
20 years later, Russia invaded Ukraine, annexed Crimea, and as we all know, in 2022, it launched a full-scale invasion. So would nuclear weapons have prevented this? If Ukraine had developed an independent deterrent, most likely, North Korea being a good example why. But in 1994, Ukraine had inherited Soviet weapons, essentially the hardware but not the keys, and lacked the resources to maintain or develop that arsenal at the time.
Okay, I got one more with her.
After all, China and Iran are close strategic partners. Beijing is Tehran's biggest economic lifeline, and China buys most of Iran's shipped oil, not to mention that the two signed a 25-year cooperation agreement just 5 years ago. But the realpolitik is simple. Beijing wants Iran strong enough to absorb American pressure, ideally to distract Washington a bit from Asia, sell discounted oil, and resist the US-led order. It does not want what's happening in Iran to spill over into a regional war, threatening Gulf shipping, spiking oil prices, or forcing China to choose between Iran and the Gulf states. Because Iran matters to China, but the Gulf matters more. China's Middle East strategy is diversification. It buys from Iran, but also from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the UAE, Oman, Kuwait, and Qatar. Saudi Arabia actually supplies more oil to China than Iran does, and China has huge trade infrastructure and tech ties across the Gulf. So war is bad for business and for China's own economic issues. China also has no defense pact with Iran. Beijing avoids these kind of traditional alliances because alliances mean entrapment, and China wants flexible partnerships, influence, less liability. So China condemns strikes, calls for restraint, criticizes US sanctions, and keeps buying Iranian oil through shadow fleets. It also presents itself as the responsible superpower, moving into the vacuum created by American unpredictability, China positioning itself as the alternative to American force. And that is the shift in the center of gravity that we should all be watching right now. There are US intelligence reports that China may be preparing to provide Iran with air defense systems, but Beijing denies this. So in sum, China is not abandoning Iran, but it is extracting the benefits of Iran's resistance while avoiding being dragged deeper into the crisis.
Okay, that's a new lady that does a good job with her intel. Yeah, we'll do a cash video.
Police are investigating a car fire. They have been set on purpose during a gathering on the city's
minutes.
south side. It happened early Sunday morning, and you can see people gathered around that car that's engulfed in flames.
So, gangs and criminals have decided that this is the year they make a new push to take over Chicago completely. And while crime has always been a problem in the Windy City, we're now seeing a surge in raids of restaurants, businesses, and even parking lots, which should alarm the city's very outspoken mayor, who seems so busy attacking America and our president that fixing Chicago isn't on the menu.
Surveillance video shows thieves struggling to drag a heavy ATM out of a grocery store overnight. Chicago police say this gang has been targeting city businesses and hit 3 stores just this morning alone.
Security footage shows the criminals using a dark-colored SUV to break through the building's glass window and exterior wall before gaining entry and taking an ATM.
We didn't have these problems when I started. We have cameras here, license plate recognition cameras.
He says morning, afternoon, or night, they're undeterred.
That's how bold and blatant they are. They will just walk right in front of a camera, and sometimes they'll even look right in the camera.
Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities. I'm going to work hard every single day to protect the people who are caught up in violence in the city.
I mean, this is the first time that I know where my car is and what they done did with it. But this is definitely the second time that they did it.
This is very frustrated. We're trying to make a living, try to survive the neighborhood.
So while crime is taking over Chicago, look at this. The schools are busy radicalizing the students. And what nobody's talking about is even though lawlessness here is through the roof, it's likely going to keep heading in that direction. And here's why. If you remember a year ago, there was a massive ICE operation in Chicago, which did bring down crime numbers by getting criminals off the streets, but that was only temporary. And the criminal underworld is now back with the mayor and governor claiming this as some sort of a victory, something the radicalized populace here is very excited about because they've pulled one over on President Trump in their minds, which couldn't be further from the truth. Things in Chicago right now are completely out of control. Here, it's not even safe if you want to park your car in an empty lot. But sadly, this is what happens when the folks running your town believe everything wrong is somebody else's fault. Ditto the electorate who keep putting people like this into office. And the result ends up being a revolving door system that protects a precious criminal element. Because you see, these folks aren't criminals at all. Instead, they're victims of an evil, unfair country which was founded just to exploit people in their minds, which is why they blame America for problems they could deal with but won't. And that brings us to the real reason Chicago is headed in the wrong direction and is going to keep heading that way as a place becomes more and more lawless. What happens is the law-abiding, they don't like this, so they leave. And who stays? People that don't have a problem with it. The law-abiding will not put up with this. They don't want their cars stolen. They don't want their restaurants and businesses getting plundered. They don't want gang activity and fugitives taking over intersections. But after they're gone, the only people who are still here are the ones you see wreaking havoc all across town, because none of these criminals are ever faced with a law enforcement consequence for any of this behavior. I wonder why. I wonder why that is.
Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities. I'm going to work hard every single day to protect the people who are caught up in violence in the city.
Right. So law enforcement, big sickness, huge problem. That's the reason Chicago is such a rotten place. We've got too much law enforcement. Meanwhile, these pesky journalists, they figured something out about the mayor that he didn't want anyone to know. Watch this.
Say that law enforcement is a sickness when you yourself have over 150 sworn police officers on your detail. What do you say to these people, and will you ask your 150 sworn police officer CPD detail to stand down if you and your wife Stacy are?
Here's what I've said. That the addiction on jails and incarceration and the addiction of militarism, it is an evil.
I guess the mayor is suffering from the sickness of law enforcement because he's got quite a few police officers on his detail. It's costing quite a lot of money. And now those police can't go out and stop any of the crimes we're about to witness.
Chicago police are warning about a spike in car thefts across the loop.
CBS News Chicago investigator Tara Molina caught up with a manager of some of the lots dealing with these thefts who say the problem is worse than what we're hearing.
She's bringing us those details and taking a closer look at the crime.
This is one of the lots hit recently and repeatedly. And even though there are cameras like this one covering this space, I'm told these thieves are so bold, they don't care.
Why would you care about a camera if there's no consequence if you're recorded committing a crime? This is very simple. If law enforcement is a sickness that has no place in Chicago, what good's a camera going to do? There's no police on the other end of it who are going to do anything if you break into a parking lot and start stealing cars. And here's why this is such a problem. You've got crimes like car theft. And what happens? People that are very progressive, the socialists, they look at this and they say, yeah, car gets stolen, but that's your fault for buying a car people want to steal. And hey, you got insurance, so no big deal. Victimless crime. Meanwhile, the people that steal these cars, what do you think they're using them for? You've got crimes like car theft. And what happens? People that are very progressive, the socialists, they look at this and they say, yeah, car gets stolen, but that's your fault for buying a car people want to steal. And hey, you got insurance, so no big deal. Victimless crime. Meanwhile, the people that steal these cars, what do you think they're using them for?
We didn't have these problems when I started. We have cameras here, license plate recognition cameras.
Mark Gallis has more than 25 years experience managing parking lots across the city. He says recently,
our lots do not have as much business as we used to because word gets around in the neighborhood that these lots get targeted.
Oh, I thought this was a victimless crime. I thought nobody was harmed. by lawlessness. Yeah, right. Lawlessness, as you're about to see, is the linchpin of the unaffordability crisis places like Chicago are dealing with. If you want to park your car in this lot, it now costs more money. Why? Well, first of all, the car might get stolen and you're going to have an insane insurance deductible. And they got to hire more security to protect cars in places like this and make sure that the cars don't drive themselves away. But the real problem is that the people stealing these cars are the same people using them to do other things all over Chicago, which are even worse.
Pictures like this one from surveillance cameras of these theft crews. He says morning, afternoon, or
That's
night,
wild.
they're undeterred.
Let Ancestry help you piece together your story. Save now during our Mother's Day sale.
ChatGPT, can I make money on Airbnb with $0?
Yes. That's how bold and blatant they are. They will just walk right in front of a camera.
Wow.
And sometimes they'll even look
at this.
Look right in the camera.
A few of his lots are listed in this recent alert
That's
from
wild.
Chicago
And
police.
here's what's really
warning
crazy.
of car thefts across the Loop and South
This
Loop.
guy right
car
here.
thefts reported the end of February through this past week.
That alert was maybe
This guy right here, he's not even covered up. He doesn't even care if he gets spotted. He was spotted. Have we heard about him getting arrested? No. And I also love how the sign here says, don't be a victim of car theft, as if it's the fault of the victim for having their car get stolen. It's the fault of the criminals that these vehicles are getting stolen. It's not the fault of the law abiding, that what they had was taken away from them suddenly without warning by people who should be in jail and aren't. That's the fault of the local government and the people voting for these politicians who see every single criminal out there as a victim. But now it's time that we ask ourselves, what do the actual victims of these crimes think about all this?
What appeared to be an overnight crime spree, crash and grab thieves appeared to have targeted at least 3 businesses around Chicago, including this gas station here at 71st and Ashland. It's where surveillance video shows the criminals in action.
So as I was going in the back, I heard a ram boom.
It unfolded around 4:50 this morning in the city's Inglewood neighborhood. That's where thieves first broke into a BP Amoco gas station at 71st and Ashland.
Yeah, I was shocked because this is a business store right here and everything. People come in, different rates.
The security footage shows the criminals using
Look
a
at this.
dark-colored SUV to break through the building's glass window and exterior wall before gaining entry and taking an ATM.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think these guys drove here in their personal vehicle that is registered and traceable back to them? Or do you think they got here with one of the vehicles from that parking lot we were just at? I think we all know the answer to this question. And what you have here is a staircase of victimless crimes that just seem to have more and more victims. Look, here we've got a whole bunch of victims. We've got the owner of this business who now has to repair his store. Lost all the money in his ATM. We've got a whole bunch of customers that were going to come here and try to buy gas, and the place is going to be shut down. And then the vehicle owner is going to wake up by the time these guys finish their crime and find out that their car's in the river somewhere. Yet all you got to do is lock people up who steal cars, and then you won't have people stealing ATMs or destroying businesses or destroying society or making life unaffordable for people who now have less places to go buy things, as well as the people who work at these places who now don't have a job while the place gets fixed, if it ever even reopens.
Did not want to be on camera, explains what happened next.
When I seen the guy bag back and do it again, I knew something wasn't right. He hit it like 45 times. When he hit it that 5th time, he knocked all of that out.
There's no way to stop
The guys
this.
got out so calm. And I mean, you could see that they knew what they was doing.
Oh,
Witnesses
they knew
say
what
the
they were
thieves
doing.
Picked up the ATM and put it in a waiting minivan and took off.
Wow, so they knew what they were doing. So they didn't get up one day, as we're told by many people, that, these criminals, they just made a wrong choice. They were going to put on their suit today and go do tax returns for people at their accounting firm. And they said, I'm going to go steal ATMs instead in a stolen vehicle. Like, we're supposed to believe that these are not people who have dedicated themselves to a life of crime and have been taught that that is a perfectly reasonable pursuit in life, because law enforcement's a sickness, because jails are bad, because if you have a jail and there's people in it, there must be something wrong, and we need to release those people because they all say they're innocent and we should just believe them. And look at this. As I'm filming this video, last night, another break-in at another, this
is the 3rd time this business has been hit in 2 years. The co-owner says this time thieves broke through a tall glass window, causing tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage, and it was all caught on
tens
camera.
of thousands of dollars. Look at this place.
glass sent shattering as 4 people break into a South Loop cafe early Wednesday morning. This surveillance video shows the
This is
thieves
crazy.
taking sledgehammers to 2 game machines, grabbing the cash and taking off.
We're now looking at an epidemic of crime in Chicago. Every single day this stuff is happening. If you got a business, that place is a target. It is going to get annihilated by people who fear absolutely nothing. They've got an unlimited number of stolen vehicles that they can use as getaway cars. There are an unlimited number of businesses they can rob, at least there are for now. And once they're all gone, these criminals will probably move on to a place like New York or California. But what's the attitude of leaders about these robberies of businesses? Are these businesses, should they be protected? Are they assets to their communities, or are they something else?
Just watched an entire city council in transparency try to take wages away from the very people who are part of an industry that has its ties to slavery. Nobody's hiding from that. I am boldly declaring that we need reparations in this city, and that's why I'm funding it.
So the mayor is here fighting for wages of restaurant workers who he says are getting a bad deal and are part of a system of businesses that are connected to exploitation. Now, how can you make that argument when you've got criminals who are exploiting these various businesses, making it tougher for them to pay their workers because all the money they make is getting stolen from their registers, stolen from their tip jars, and when they get robbed, they've got to repair everything. We don't even have to tackle the insanity of the ideas we just heard. There's something else that's making it hard for these places to operate. If you want good paying jobs, you want companies to have more money to spend on their workers, well, stop having them spend their money on the criminals. Let's take those criminals who should be in jail and build a jail and put them there. Let's do that. But nobody's talking about that. Nobody wants to do that. Instead, people are just wondering why the same masked criminals who we can't identify, might be the same people, might not be the same people, are stealing cars and stealing from your business. But some people are going to say, oh, you can't identify these people. You can't prove that the same people stealing the cars are the same people robbing these stores. Really?
3 a.m., thieves hit another gas station in the 3300 block of North Kimball. They stole an ATM from there, too. Moments earlier, police say thieves unsuccessfully tried to rip off a business in the 4000 block of North Park.
Crazy.
That crew left behind a dark-colored SUV. Ayanna Davis says police told her SUV was used in one of the crimes after it was stolen off the street near 68th and Normal. Despite the damage to her Jeep, she's just happy to get her vehicle back.
Terrible. This is the second time
Second
it happened. The second time it happened. I mean, this is the first time that I know where my car is.
That's terrible. This is the second time her car's been stolen and then used to commit crime. We have come full circle, and we've got proof that the same people stealing these vehicles are the same ones using them to do this stuff. And now think about the affordability implications of this. This is her vehicle right now. It either needs to be repaired or it needs to be, I don't know if you could drive it like this. This is going to cost money. She, at a minimum, if she does not repair the damage, has just lost tons of money on the resale value of this thing. And you want to talk about how lawlessness makes the lives of everybody living in a place like this unaffordable? This is it. At the same time, remember, this is also a sanctuary city. Remember that we've got criminals living in Chicago, living in apartments, committing crime, who shouldn't even be in America to begin with. And there is resistance, eternal resistance on behalf of local leaders for doing something about this. And what we're learning is that if you increase the number of criminals anywhere and you do absolutely nothing to hold them accountable, everybody else pays the price for that.
That alert was maybe had 13 different dates on it. There's way more incidents than that.
We took a closer look at the crimes
They're
overall,
hiding the
honing in on
stats.
District 1, which includes the Loop and South Loop, and found car thefts are up from this same time frame last year. 166 compared to 138 thefts.
It's a lot of thefts.
But we've seen higher numbers in years past, 223 in this time frame back in 2024. Police recommending people who park in lots like this one install a security or anti-theft system and make sure it's marked on the car. Gallus pointing out these are often more than car thefts. The stolen cars used in other crimes.
And the same guy they interviewed says that the reports that you hear aren't everything. So somebody's doing something to sweep this under the rug. And what does the city tell people to do? Oh, you should put an anti-theft device on your car, and you should have a sign on your car that tells criminals that you have an anti-theft device, which is just going to tell them which anti-theft device they have to defeat if they want your car. because, again, the police apparently aren't going to get here fast enough to do anything about this, aren't going to hold these people accountable, aren't going to put them in jail. And the sad thing about this is that we've seen what happens in Chicago when criminals are held accountable. Crime drops. It's just good news for the law-abiding. The only problem is the law-abiding have already left Chicago. The only people left are the people who don't seem to have a problem with criminal activity, which is why criminal activity is now defended and law enforcement is demonized at all levels.
The stolen cars used in other crimes.
Just as recently as 2 days ago, an FBI officer called us up about
FBI?
a stolen vehicle being used down in one of the south suburbs.
Chicago police tell me they're still investigating all of these recent thefts, and so far no one has been arrested.
No one has been arrested. And you know what? If people do get arrested, what do you think's going to happen? All of these progressive cities, they are doing every single thing they can to pad their crime statistics. Here we've got evidence that certain politicians are skewing crime statistics ahead of the midterm elections. And look whose picture we have here. J.B. Pritzker. The number of felonies in Chicago, not to mention New York, Los Angeles, and Portland, is declining only because woke prosecutors are knocking down felonies to something less severe for political reasons. And they're also pointing out that Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, that his recent talking points are part of a concerted effort by the Democrat Party to hide the various forms of blight created by handicapping police and telling them that they can't do their jobs and releasing violent offenders. But this is how you make crime stats go away. You have a bunch of felons who have been caught red-handed. They're on security camera. They're not wearing masks. And you know what? They come before a judge, and the judge says, you know what? First of all, I look at these people, and I don't think they've done anything wrong. I think they're victims of an unfair world and that they should be released. So then that becomes the goal of the judicial system, is to get them out the door and get them back on the streets. So what do? They look at the evidence, and the police say, well, we have my body cam, we have my security camera, we found a weapon, and then they look at all the evidence. They say, you know what? I don't think we have enough. I don't think we have enough evidence to 100% guarantee a felony conviction, and that costs us money. We don't have a lot of money, so we're not going to prosecute the felony conviction. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go after him for a misdemeanor charge, perhaps something less that we know, that we really feel we can get a conviction on and really bring justice to bear again, which is our mission. What do you think about that? We'll see you in the next video.
Okay, that was another good one from Cass there out of Chicago news. I got 5 short ones, and then I'm going to do Billy Bean. This guy's okay, I think.
Federal agents, one city, and a congresswoman watching her entire world collapse in real time. What you're about to hear is the biggest story the mainstream media is desperately trying to bury. While they're busy covering the latest celebrity scandal or manufactured outrage, the largest immigration enforcement operation in American history is happening right now in Minneapolis. And at the center of it all, Representative Ilhan Omar sitting in her office, watching helplessly as her political kingdom is literally being put on planes and sent back across the ocean. This isn't just about immigration enforcement. This is about $300 million in stolen taxpayer money. This is about a fraud scheme so massive it makes Enron look like a lemonade stand. This is about a member of Congress who might, and I'm going to say this very carefully, who might herself be in this country through fraud. The walls are closing in. The investigations are accelerating. And Omar, she's terrified, and she should be. Let me set the stage for you. For years, we've been told that questioning anything about Representative Ilhan Omar was somehow racist, somehow Islamophobic, somehow un-American. We've been told to look the other way while her district became a magnet for fraud, while federal dollars disappeared into black holes, while the very people she claims to represent were being exploited by criminal networks operating right under her nose. But now the chickens are coming home to roost, and Omar is watching her political power base evaporate in real time. The Department of Homeland Security just launched what they're calling the largest immigration enforcement operation in the agency's history. 2,000 federal agents descended on Minneapolis. 2,000. Let that sink in for a moment. When was the last time you saw the federal government commit that level of resources to enforcing immigration law? This isn't some routine operation. This is a full-scale intervention, and it's happening in Ilhan Omar's backyard. Now, before the left starts screaming about targeting and discrimination, let's talk about why this is happening. Let's talk about the facts that Omar and her allies want to bury. Minnesota has been ground zero for one of the largest welfare fraud schemes in American history. We're talking about the Feeding Our Future scandal, a supposed nonprofit that claimed to be feeding hungry children during the COVID pandemic. Sounds noble, right? Except they weren't feeding children. They were stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from American taxpayers. The federal prosecutors have now raised their estimate of the theft to $300 million. $300 million of your money stolen through a fraudulent scheme. And here's what the media doesn't want to tell you. The vast majority of the defendants charged in this case were from the Somali community. Not all of them, but most of them. That's not me being prejudiced. That's just stating the documented facts of the federal indictments. But it doesn't stop there. We've got allegations, serious allegations, that money from these fraudulent schemes didn't just line people's pockets. She is terrified. 2,000 federal agents, one city, and a congresswoman watching her entire world collapse in real time. What you're about to hear is the biggest story the mainstream media is desperately trying to bury. While they're busy covering the latest celebrity scandal or
Got a 3-minute one.
News. Former Secretary of the Navy Pat Phelan, whom Pete Hegseth fired last week, arrived at Naval Station Guantanamo Bay Saturday morning, not as a guest, but as a domestic enemy detainee facing charges of treason and inciting insurrection, Real Raw News has learned. As reported previously, Phelan was cut loose after President Donald J. Trump and War Secretary Pete Hegseth discovered Phelan's plans to influence flag officers and congresspeople to decry American intervention in Iran and to sway field commanders to disobey Trump's war orders. Between his ouster and last week, President Trump learned that Phelan had covertly spoken with a dozen Republican lawmakers in a failed bid to have them file articles of impeachment against Trump. Phelan had suggested Trump's war crimes, erratic social media benders, cognitive decline, and physical frailty, including incontinence, disqualified him from holding office. Furthermore, he had implored CENTCOM and SOUTHCOM commanders Admiral Brad Cooper and General Francis Donovan, respectively, to disregard unlawful orders and instead publicly demand Trump be impeached. Today he's bombing schoolgirls and fishermen. Tomorrow it could be Cuba. He's either controlled or gone mad. You are jeopardizing your own careers and freedom by following him. It must stop. Together, we can defeat Trump and Hegseth, Phelan told Admiral Cooper, per a Gitmo source familiar with the incident. Phelan obviously hadn't considered the ramifications of blabbing to loyal, patriotic officers. When they shared Phelan's comments with Trump, he instructed JAG to detain Phelan, a civilian, for treason and attempting to incite servile insurrection. Late Thursday evening, 4 JAG investigators with military search and arrest warrants stormed into Phelan's Maryland home, catching him packing a suitcase as if he was about to flee. "You've got the wrong guy," he said, stepping backward. "I'm a civilian," Phelan shouted. "What does that have to do with anything?" the lead investigator asked. "You're under arrest for treason and inciting insurrection. The only place you're going is Gitmo." "Gitmo? I served this country honorably. I have rights. You're making a mistake that will blow up in your faces. What's the evidence?" "Not important to know right now. All you need to know is you'll be tried and hanged if found guilty," the investigator said, snapping cuffs on Phelan. JAG, our source said, has yet to schedule Phelan's military tribunal. "We have no corporate advertisers, nor billionaire philanthropists looking to support efforts to expose the deep state's evil agenda. Every donation, irrespective of the amount, is appreciated and helps ensure our survival in these perilous times."
Okay, Raw News video. So I got about 5, 6 short ones, and we get Billy Bean and maybe a couple more after that. I got a few of hers.
The inside scoop. So get this. The president and his team have been watching social media for a while. Well, they noticed that Thomas Cole Allen had been making some remarks on social media, pretty radical remarks, you know, basically saying he wants to unalive the president, he wants to take care of this, he can't stand a rapist, a radical, and a Nazi. And he was going on and on and on. And he started getting out there on social media to the point where people were really starting to notice because he kept saying, he's going to do something. He's going to do something. So the president's team went to the president and said, hey, we found the perfect guy to stage a pretend shooting for you. And the president, Donald Trump, it was like, what? You did? Who is this? And they told him, they said, man, this guy hates you so much. He's constantly talking about wanting to take you out and everything. And Donald Trump was like, this is the perfect guy that would help me with my poll numbers. Can you reach out to him? And they were like, absolutely. So they go sit down and they talk to him and they were like, hey, would you like to help us? Because the president's poll numbers are down because he started a war in Iran for no reason. And they were like, would you like to pretend that you're going to take the president out and half of his cabinet? We would like you to do this. And the guy's like, what do I get out of it? And they were like, you're probably going to get a padded cell, no windows. And I know you like crinkle fries, but you're probably going to get the straight cut fries. And this guy was like, for reals? And they were like, yes, and absolutely. And then one of the Secret Service guys spoke up and said, hey, I'm even willing to take one for the team. So whenever you run past, when you get there, you're going to run past everybody. I want you to turn around and take a pot shot with me with a shotgun. And I'm going to make sure that I wear my bulletproof vest. We're going to keep our fingers crossed that you're a good shot and you don't get me in the face. And this guy was like, absolutely, I'll do this. Anything to help the Trump administration. So lo and behold, they planned it. Security was lax. They didn't really check the hotel because they got to have, they got to do all that to make it look real. So then what you know, here he comes running through there and does his thing. Well, now he's got his padded room. He don't have a window view, which is pissing him off. He does not get his crinkle fries, and he had asked for Whataburger, ketchup. They said no. So I don't know if this guy's going to start talking before long and tell everybody, hey, this is not what we agreed to. I agreed, to help the president with his poll numbers, and I'm not being treated fairly. And even that judge is starting to notice it. So let's just stay tuned and see what happens, guys. I wonder if there'll be anybody else that'll be willing to do this stuff for the president. MAGA.
Okay, a couple more from her.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. We love you. But you are not out there enough for the American public to see what you're accomplishing. And I'm sure that behind the scenes, you're doing a whole lot of stuff, but we're not hearing about it. But I'm going to tell you what we are hearing is Marco Rubio. And I'm going to have to be honest with you. I hope there's a Rubio Vance ticket because Marco Rubio is going to have my vote. It's nothing against J.D. Vance, absolutely nothing at all, but Marco Rubio has proved that he can handle any job that's thrown at him. He does it with kindness. He does it with patience, but he's also firm. He gets the job done. He's diplomatic. He handles his business. And I'm going to tell you guys, I think Marco Rubio would be an amazing president. And J.D. Vance, I hope you'll be his sidekick. So I just want to make my little prediction. I think that's who will win. I think we have a really good chance if he runs. And let's see what happens. J.D. Vance, we love.
Yeah. Okay, I think we got enough with her. I got all three of hers. See what.
You're not here to be scared. This one is for every single one of you Democrats. Every single one of you
I guess I go to 9 o'clock, you guys.
That's out here doing this political theater for these scared elites not hiding their gated community. Hear me loud and hear me freaking clear. This is coming from we the people. We've already seen this chaos play out once before. We watched it back in 2020. We watched cities burn. Lives get laundered through the media. We watched useful idiots get sacrificed while the people at the top never had to leave their mansions. You do not scare us. We know your tactics. We know the selective footage. We know the narrative before the facts. We know the outrage cycle, the chaos, and the cleanup that you never take responsibility for. And let me be so freaking crystal clear. This is not a threat. This is a promise of resolve. We are not flinching. We are not going to bat an eye. And we sure as hell.
Okay, our other important lady there. She had a good one here.
Information about what happened in Oklahoma with that mass shooting. Okay. Because, see, you had people like me over here full thinking it was just this sweet little innocent campground. And there were just some families out there just trying to have a cookout, and some unhinged person came out and just started shooting everybody. Was I wrong? Instead, it was one of these YN meetups, one of these Sunday fun days. And Sunday fun day, somebody got into an
That wasn't
argument.
on very
They got
long.
into a
I hope that
fight.
was all right.
And instead of using their bare knuckles, they decided to pull a gun and just start shooting at everybody. And look, sitting here as a millennial, I'm not going to dog on y'all wanting to get together and have a good time, because we used to do that in high school as well. We all would go to somebody's back 40, circle the trucks around, put the tailgates down, have a massive bonfire going, and we'd sit there and dance our asses off. And if somebody happened to get into a fight, you know what we did? We would let them duke it out with their bare fist. We would sit there and let them drag each other through the dirt until both of them were tired and couldn't go anymore. And guess where the guns were? In the truck or at home. And then you know what they would do after they duked it out? They would get them a beer, crack it open, cheers each other, and then everybody would continue on with their fun for the night. But y'all's generation is so prideful and so sensitive that you can't take an ass whooping and move on with your night. That's why you choose the extreme violence that you choose. And now there are 13 kids in the hospital because of y'all's pride.
Okay, one more short, and then we'll finish off with Billy Bean. Shoot. We'll make it Billy Bean right now. Last one, you guys.
Time in Texas about 7 p.m.
11 minutes.
And thanks for like, subscribe, and share. Some of the things we'll cover. President Trump has brought about arrest of both Chinese and Russian spies. And the UAE hammers Iran. And the U.S. military is now on defense. Project Freedom. So let's get started. So it's coming out. Stephen Gardner brought out a video recently done in the last 24 hours by Kash Patel, director of the FBI, detailing and giving some numbers of how good President Trump has been for making America safe again. In 2025, the FBI arrest of violent criminals was up 124% from 2024 under JB, where hundreds of violent criminals were arrested, including murderers, terrorists, rapists, drug dealers, illegals in this country brought in by the commie Dems open border policy under JB. Way to go, President Trump. President Trump had also authorized the FBI to begin arresting hundreds of spies in this country who had infiltrated every level of the U.S. government and every level of the U.S. military. Spies from China and Russia. Also, most likely let in during the JB years. So that's going on. We have this from 2CTV. So we had Secretary of State Marco Rubio today during a presser saying that the U.S. military had finished their military offensive under Epic Fury, and that the U.S. military would now begin to engage in military defense actions under Project Freedom. But we also have coming out from other sources that May 7 may be a big day for the U.S. military versus Iran. We'll have to see. We have this from U.S. Intel. So we know that the global oil market is being hammered, really, by what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz. JP Morgan Chase, the largest U.S. bank, brings out this information that many nations now are using their oil reserves, which will hit a global low level called the operational floor in just a few months, most likely at the end of May. So in June, JP Morgan Chase puts out, we can see per barrel $200, and in September, $500 per barrel. Let's hope Iran situation doesn't last that long. We have from Enforcer. Now, Enforcer put out that many major explosions had gone on today, and it wasn't known if it was the U.S. or Israel. I submit this was, as I put out in my previous report, this was the UAE military hammering Iran with many strong hits, including Qasem Island, which is one of the islands where Iran likes to collect tolls for ships to safely pass through the Strait of Hormuz, as long as they're not affiliated with the U.S. or Israel. But we've also seen Iran fire on ships that were in that position who were going to pay the toll, but Iran, for unknown reasons, fired upon the ships. So, and
it takes 90 seconds for this NASA-engineered AC cool down your room. It's smaller than a toaster.
UAE also hit a petrochemical Iran facility in Bandar Abbas. That's after Iran hit the UAE yesterday about 5 to 7 times, including setting one of their chemical oil refineries on fire. And we're hearing more explosions going on in Iran today. And we have this happening. So we've also had today 2 U.S. refuelers, KC-135s, hit in the area near UAE. They were in the air and they were hit. We speculate by Iran. So we'll have to see what will be the U.S. response. We don't have any more details other than both of them were squawking 7,700 distress. And the earlier report, early this morning, it was reported that the refueler did not return to base in Qatar. Details about what is the status of both of these refuelers currently is unknown. So that's going on. And we have this. We have, UAE today is hitting Iran. And we had 2 U.S. destroyers near UAE defending UAE. So we don't know if the destroyers were also firing missiles at Iran in defense of UAE. And we have this, that, yes, so we had Secretary of War Pete Hegseth today saying that the U.S. military in their defense of Project Freedom would be taking out the Iranian speedboats. And we have this, yes. So the member of government, Ghalibaf, like the Speaker of the Congress, has said that the U.S. U.S. has broken the ceasefire, and we know that was actually Iran breaking the ceasefire and attacking UAE, and it's believed now also attacking U.S. refuelers. And we have the foreign minister of Iran, Arachi, going this week to talk with the CCP in Beijing. I'm sure to get their orders. It's believed that Xi has been orchestrating the Iran's posture against the U.S. since this began. And as I put out in previous videos, Xi's proxy Iran, his plan was to get the U.S. military bogged down for years in Iran, just like Afghanistan. I wonder how President Trump is going to interact with Xi if the trip by President Trump to China takes place, I believe, May 14 and 15. He can look deep into the eyes of Xi and know that Xi was calling the shots and providing intel for Iran to hit U.S. military and U.S. military bases in the Middle East. We have this about Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine continues to hammer Russia and has hit another oil refinery in Leningrad. And we know Russia has planned an annual parade. They have every year some type of military celebration recognizing events in the past. May 9. And President Putin has said if Ukraine hits the parade and area in Moscow, May 9, that Russia will hit Kiev. And we also have this coming out today from Russia. Russia has closed the airspace over Kapushkin Yar, the yards area where they keep certain strategic bombs like the Oreshnik. And these are going to be, the airspace will be closed May 5 to 8. So that's going on. This concludes my flash. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Oh, boy. What a day, guys. What a day. So I am tired. A lot of good stuff today. A lot of good stuff. So, further notice for tomorrow, another day. Next 5K final is a girl town. And God bless everybody. And please, it's Mike. Thanks, Lucy. And then, stay safe, stay strong, keep your faith, and give up. Chico and Dude signing off for Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Good one, you guys.